Did you hear? We've got a new grift in town. Hi friends, strangers, internet. My name is Emily of Imperfectly M. I love colorful makeup and colorful language. And if you haven't heard, the influencers are de-influencing now. I have a lot of interest and fascination in the patterns and behaviors of social media and influencing and creating, like, the trends of social media and the behaviors and patterns of people involved in it. And I've talked about it a lot on my channel, but I feel like lately there's been a decent amount of like, TikTok is doing what the fuck? Let's hash it out here. So we're gonna do that today with de-influencing. Don't worry, I'll give you more insight on what it actually is. But if you like colorful makeup, if you like bitches with lots of opinions, or you just like cute fat babes, I would love for you to subscribe, and let's jump right in. So I'm gonna read a little blurb that is from a website called The Conversation. It seems like it's a collaborative site that's like kind of joining forces of academia and journalism. And so I thought it was an interesting article, and that they have a piece about de-influencing, and the last little blurb really nails it. So de-influencing is more or less what you think it is, in terms of it is influencers trying to de-influence you from buying something, or it's being an anti-influencer. I might use those phrases interchangeably. I've seen both in use, but de-influencing seems to be the more common phrase. In this article, which is called De-Influencing: How Online Beauty Gurus Get Followers to Trust Them by Posting Negative Reviews, I'll have it linked if you want to read the full thing. They say, some commentators have hailed the de-influencing as the death of influencing and thus of the influencer. But our research suggests the opposite. De-influencing is a form of influencing, one that many consumers are more receptive to, particularly in the current economic climate. Rather than representing the demise of influencers, de-influencing is an opportunity for them to reassert their original guru role and gain trust through transparency and authenticity. It is a strategy used to protect their influence role and future income. So when I first started hearing about this de-influencing trend, my brain went, what are we doing here? My dear friend Audra and I, we talk a lot about being these, like, the old bitches of the internet, and how it sets us up to be, I love the way they phrase this, like jaded older sisters that have like seen it all. And that's the way I feel about so much of what I see, especially in the TikTok space. But I felt that way about things I was seeing on Instagram when Instagram was kind of like in its heyday. So, you know, I go into everything with a very healthy dose of skepticism. That is who I am as a person. So this whole trend just felt it feels very, why are we putting a name on this? Why are we labeling, like trying to rebrand this? I went down a research rabbit hole. I used a alt TikTok account because I did not want to ruin my TikTok For You page. And I mean, I'm not saying I watched hours and hours of stuff, but I did watch a decent amount, and I was reading a couple of different pieces online and looking a little bit on Reddit, a little bit, because too much is too much. And I just really, I left it with about the same feelings that I came into it. But here's what I saw. I saw a lot of, this thing is overhyped. Here are these other products. I saw a lot of people that have a decent standing, a decent amount of followers, saying things that in reality aren't that spicy. I saw a lot of talk about overconsumption, and this is one of the parts of this that really I just can't vibe with. And not everybody that's maybe falling into this realm is doing this, but there was I felt like a lot of conversation about, shopping smarter, not buying too much, what the influencers show is like not the life that you as a regular person should strive to live in terms of like the amount of stuff. And I'm like, that's true. But like, I still remember one of the first times I saw like a celebrity swag bag, and I was like, you, a person that already has fame and fortune, are getting giant amounts of free stuff. Okay, like, that's fucked. I'm not saying that I have never been shocked at like the amount of stuff or anything that, influencers have, but it just feels very much like, this is the way the industries work. And I realized that was something that I touched on quite a bit, like in my Lashgate Get Ready With Me, in terms of the way things work. I have a problem with the way de-influencing is pushing this narrative of like shame related to shopping. I feel like the way that clean girl makeup became a thing and minimalism became this thing, it falls right into that zone for me. Yeah, it's fine to like buy less. That's not a problem. It's good to consider your finances before you buy something. But I find the way that it's spoken about to be very much, and I say this a lot of the time, it's very much tied into both diet culture and a lot of puritanical values. But for so many of us, spending and buying things is very much built into, do we deserve it? Have we earned it? Have we done enough work to be able to validate this purchase? When in reality, you don't have to earn purchases. You don't. That's not a thing. And I find that this cycle of earning it and being good and all of that really, in my opinion, sets us up to continue these cycles and also really fuck with our actual enjoyment of the things, because we have already attached a level of shame to the thing just from the conversations that we have with ourselves about things that we want. I'm going to insert a reel from somebody that I have found recently who is a money person and is very real about it and talks a lot about being children of immigrants, being first generation, being a non-white, a brown person, a black person, and talking about financial trauma, all this good stuff. Berna Anat. Such a sweet find on Instagram. But they posted a TikTok kind of recently. Or not, I keep calling it TikTok. They posted a reel and I was like, stop it. Stop it. In like very good, good ways.
Cute sweater. I want it. I'm gonna stop you right there, honey. You don't deserve it, okay? You don't deserve anything. Okay, it's just a sweater. You literally haven't worked hard enough today or like in your life to deserve a nice treat. Okay, so what makes you think? Feels harsh, okay? Therapist TikTok told me that my work is not my worth.
So I do find that the de-influencing trend and the way that it is very much entwined with smart consumption, anti-consumerism, I feel very jaded about it. Not only do I think it's not really dealing with the needs at hand that might cause cycles of bad spending or spending that is outside of your means. But even that concept of spending outside of your means is so very tied into the way that we speak about and consider poverty, and how you can't really like live within your means when your means are literally not there. Like if you are unable to work for any number of reasons, or the work that you do is very, very underpaid, or any number of things, or you aren't able to get a job with benefits because the US is very fucked in that way, or any number of things like that, all of these systemic things are not going to change with not buying a $7 Starbucks drink or whatever the narrative is. So that part of the minimalism, overconsumption, spending, blah, 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 I have a really hard time just seeing and living with, because I do think that not only does it continue these cycles of spending, it feels tone deaf to how a lot of us are actually living. I think there is something inherently gross about people that have made a bunch of money off of the back of influencing, off of the back of their audience, then turning it around into a new way for them to make money, while also either subtly or very directly shaming their audience. And then there is the fact that so many of these videos and things that I've seen about de-influencing are still recommending products. So you are still getting your money. You are still doing your grift. Just because you say that this wand isn't worth it, but here are 3 other contouring products. Here are 3 other liquid blushes. Here are 3 other things. Do you see? Is it just me? Is it just me? I understand honest reviews. And I think if this was a genuine effort to if you feel like you have been less honest as a creator or influencer, and you feel like this is a genuine way for you to bring back more honesty and more, not even just honesty, more critical takes, that's okay, that's cool. But I don't believe it. I believe that it is a way to look at previously super hyped or currently hyped products, give a critical take on that product, and sell other things in the meantime. I don't understand how this is helping in consumption. Because just because you told me that this brand or that brand is overhyped or this product is overhyped, if you're still talking about a product instead, you are still influencing. It is not de-influencing. You are still influencing people. And honestly, even if you're only talking negative or critical about products and not recommending other products, you are still influencing, because your opinion, your take as a person with status and an audience has power to it. So even if you feel like, oh, well, I'm not encouraging shopping, you're still not encouraging shopping. So I watched some de-influencing TikToks, and I've seen a couple of the same. I've seen a lot of specifically hyped makeup products show up. I saw like the contour wand, I have the highlighter wand, but like this Charlotte Tilbury thing, or this Dior thing, or the Stanley cup, like the water cup, not the hockey cup. This is overhyped. If somebody was watching, they had this one product stuck in their head. They had the hot pink Dior blush stuck in their head. They want it. And then they see people say, oh, that's not the one. The influencer culture and our general shopping culture just pushes us to move on to a different, like maybe you're now going to hyperfixate over a Surratt hot pink blush. Editing Emily, popping in to clarify, if you are the kind of person that tends to hyperfixate on a product, especially kind of framing it as this absolute need that's going to fix all your problems, that's going to totally be a game changer. If you have those patterns in your shopping and consuming behaviors, this de-influencing trend is not attending to that pattern. And that's not the influencer's responsibility, but it's not fixing that. Influencers do and don't have a level of like responsibility. Disclosing ads, disclosing partnerships, you have those responsibilities. But I also feel like there is, to a point, a level of personal responsibility with what you're watching, who you're listening to, and the kind of things that you get like stuck on wanting. I went down a little bit of a tangent. I have notes. Let's refer to the notes and take a coffee break. By the way, I saw somebody on Reddit say it's the quiet quitting of capitalism. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. It doesn't have meaning to it, and it already existed. Those are probably contradictions, but I believe that. Like, it both already existed, and it also doesn't have any meaning to it. And yes, I do feel like Beetlejuice right now with this eye makeup choice. I also find it interesting to see creators that have grown up with their audience, and all of a sudden, I think what's happening is that their audience is reaching this point of young adulthood where they're more responsible for the money that they're spending. They are trying to find a job, or they are in school and working. They are facing a lot more adult responsibilities, which changes your perspective on money completely, even if you are a person with more financial privilege. But I think it's interesting that they are now transitioning to de-influencing because their audience basically realized that they are scammers. Just as some of these creators' audiences have grown up enough to see through the influencer marketing and identify the scams and identify the sales pitches, just as that's happening, these influencers are transitioning to de-influencing. It's not just me that feels questionable about that, right? Oh, they've gotten old enough to see our grift. We gotta change it. We gotta figure out how to be relatable again. The thing is that if your audience grows out of you, that's a problem. I personally believe it's far easier to hold on to the audience you have and grow with them than it is to rebuild an audience every couple of years when they age out of your content. Yeah, when you have to pay for your coffees every day, or your gas, or your rent, just indulging in an expensive, trendy sweatshirt or water cup might be a lot more challenging all of a sudden. The authenticity and relatability that these influencers are trying to grab onto again, it's interesting. It's interesting. AKA, I see right through it. But I'm sure there are plenty of people that are not seeing it. Like, it's also okay to be like, I still like this influencer and they're completely unrelatable. I can't even aspire to their life. They're completely unrelatable, but you know what? I still find some enjoyment out of them. That's the thing, is like, I understand feeling jealousy or feeling envy once you start being like able to kind of see just how wealthy they are. But I also think it's okay to just be like, yeah, I still like Rihanna, even though she's a millionaire or billionaire or whatever, and, you know, exploiting labor because she owns companies or is a stakeholder in companies. I'm sure that's going to get me canceled. I think it's okay to see through that and still be like, yeah, I'm going to follow them. I don't think you have to make excuses. And I think that's the thing, is like the anti-influencing feels very much like, oh, we need to find reasons that people can relate to us again. Or you can just be wealthy and unrelatable, because that's what you are. And I think the one of the other big things about this trend that, of course, as a jaded older sibling in the community, like, that is the most frustrating thing, where I'm like, this already exists. Anti-hauls have existed for years. Will I buy it? Shop your stash. Duping the vibes. These things exist. Critical reviews exist. It's just frustrating when people behave like they are inventing the wheel. If you want to de-influence, do your thing or whatever. I can't stop it. It's already started. But do not frame it as doing something so different. Because it's not. It's something that has very much existed in the community for years now. Shout out to Kimberly Clark for literally starting the anti-hauls and so many other creators. I also get really fucking frustrated at negative reviews are the only honest reviews. Because negative reviews are still influencer bullshit. I'm not saying all negative reviews are lies. They're not. But getting those clicks is being an influencer. There's nothing wrong with wanting clicks and wanting views. That's why the fuck we're doing it, okay? But to say that that's the only way to find honest reviews is absolutely bullshit. So yeah, shop your stash. Buy less. Find less expensive alternatives, not dupes, alternatives to what's already out there. That's fine. Do that. But as a viewer, as a consumer in this beauty space, both a consumer in terms of like watching the stuff and consumer in terms of buying the stuff, don't feel like you need somebody else to tell you what not to buy. Just like you do not need somebody to tell you it is okay to buy something, you do not need somebody to tell you not to buy something. Your worth, your value are not equal to your purchases. And that's in both a negative and positive way. If you struggle with feeling shame and feeling like you have to earn purchases, just know that your value is beyond that. And you also deserve joy and comfort and happiness. And sometimes that comes from buying a thing you really want. And sometimes it comes from not buying a thing because financially it really makes more sense to save up for paying that bill or buying a new winter coat or something that's far less exciting or sexy. You don't even need me to be telling you this, but here I am. Also, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I just don't think it is that bold or daring to say something in honesty about a product when you have 1 million+ followers. You saying one bad thing about one product from that brand is most likely not going to put your PR relationship with that brand in danger. And also, if it does, you are in a place financially where you can afford to buy the products. if the brand was like, well, fuck you, we're not sending you new stuff. So I find the whole trend being labeled in this very rave way really disingenuous. If you want to be honest, be critical, describe the products as you're using them, give us information. That helps your viewers, consumers understand what they're actually getting into with that product. But also as a consumer, you do have to learn to listen to people who are reviewing in a more thorough and more critical way. Because it is very easy to not hear the parts about, oh, it might show texture, or it might not have the greatest wear time because it just looks so good on that person that you probably already think is stunning and gorgeous and has wonderful lighting and all of that. On the influencer side, I'm not viewing this as some brave movement. Be honest, be critical, give us details, give us information. Don't shame your viewers. Also, don't try to tell me how I should consider my consumption habits if you have ever shown me a giant Shein or Nova or whatever kind of haul. Don't do it. I mean, do it all you want. I'm not fucking listening. And I really hope that if you happen to have found this video, especially if you're younger, because that's another point, is that I am older. I don't feel as influenced, as pressured in the same way that I would have felt if the internet existed the way it does now when I was in my teens and 20s. So if you happen to be a younger person that found this video, hi. If you got this far, thank you. I think that's it. I think that's everything. My look is also basically done. So let me know your thoughts. Have you heard about this de-influencing trend? Have you been influenced by de-influencers? Have you felt this like push or anything like that? I would love to know. If you feel like I was off base about anything or missed the mark, definitely leave me respectful comments and let's have a conversation, because I am a jaded bitch. And I love it. But I also love to hear other people's perspectives and see if my perspectives can be shifted at all. Thank you so much to my patrons and my channel members. Y'all literally are like the reason I'm still doing this thing. If anybody watching feels so inspired to join, they are linked in the description box. Also, make sure to take care of yourself better today than you did yesterday, because you are worth it. Bye, friends.